Hey there, welcome back to my thoughts and reflection series. I am so happy to be shooting sit down videos again. I feel like I have so much to share both on this series and in the Lessons I Must Learn series. For instance, next week in the Lessons I Must Learn series, I'll be sharing about respecting people's boundaries. I feel like for a long time I used to be that person who thought I would never disrespect anyone's boundary, but then had lessons here and there have shown me how I was disrespecting people's boundaries, and I guess just my lessons from that and moving forward, how things can be done differently. So I'll be sharing that here. I'll be talking about, as the title suggests, my thoughts and reflections, and basically, I guess it's just at some point how I form opinions on things, and basically especially maybe influenced by things I've read, maybe things I've listened to or watched, because I can accept that sometimes you do view a lot of things from a lot of bias, and the bias can stem from whatever we're consuming. I'd also like to say, as I share on this series, I am not sharing it from a point of offering solutions to anyone, because I am not a professional in that. So it's just me basically sharing my thoughts, and you can also share yours in the comments. If you want to even extend this chat further, we can do it, especially if you know me personally. If it's of interest to you, we can talk about it more and just see how we navigate it. So for today, I just briefly want to share on the whole concept of honoring your feelings and emotions versus whatever you entertain and give life to, or rather whatever you entertain you give life to, and you probably grow it more and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of times you're encouraged to entertain good thoughts that good things are coming, good things will happen to you, just being positive and all these things. But then sometimes I feel like when you're at a point where you're at a low point, and for a second you're not able to entertain these positive thoughts, I feel like it can be that thing that kind of tips you off the balance, offsets you a bit, and may make you think that, oh my goodness, maybe all is lost, and I shouldn't be feeling the way I am. I should just be positive all the time. Like, I shouldn't entertain these thoughts because it's just going to mean that bad things are going to happen or whatever. So yeah, I guess basically for me, one of the thoughts I was having is, is there a point where we get balance? And I mean, do we even need to get like a balance of this too? And especially because the way life happens, it's normal that in different times you're experiencing different emotions. And I think what I define as honoring your feelings and emotions to mean is being honest about what you're feeling and accepting that this is how you're feeling in the moment. So what I think about this whole situation is that there are times that okay, first of all, as we live, we are often experiencing new things, and especially I think the younger you are, the more you're experiencing things for the first time. So maybe for you, you probably just got your first job and then something happens and then you're laid off. So this is probably the first time you're experiencing what it is to be laid off and all that. Maybe someone who's been working for 20 years has gone through it or not, but yeah, in the case maybe they have gone through it 2 times, maybe the third time they're going through it, the way in which they're able to respond to that is not the same way we respond to in the first moment. So basically, because of this, you find that sometimes when things are new and foreign to us, it may take a bit longer for us to, I guess, process the situation, wrap our heads around it, and maybe be able to move. And so you find that sometimes that, I mean, it's just like maybe your first heartbreak, the first time you really wanted to get into a certain program and you got a rejection. You probably felt sad for such a long time, as compared to after you've applied maybe 10 more times, you've gotten a few more rejections, you probably can be able to, in some cases, just dust it off a bit and just ready to apply and just be like, thank you, next, that kind of stuff. So I think for me, that's just something that I'd want maybe, I don't know, people to know. I don't know, whether it's just my opinion. I mean, whatever it is, this is me just trying to process my thoughts anyway. Yeah, I think it's something I personally, I guess I'm even telling myself, should be aware of, even as I try and honor my feelings, that sometimes because things are new, I won't be able to maybe know even know maybe how long it will take for me to feel, or maybe how long it will take for me to process things, just because of the newness of it all. And you see, now because of this, if for instance I start comparing, okay, I got a rejection and it took me 2 months to be able to not even apply again, to tell someone that by there I didn't get into this program. I remember I was thinking, just something that happened to me last year. There's a program I was applying for and I think even just before applying for it, I already started thinking just what it looked like if I wouldn't get it. Just for me, I think the thought of perhaps having to tell people, especially maybe the people who are part of me applying, that but I didn't get it, I was just like, oh my goodness, that is so daunting. And I remember even after that rejection came, I was just like, I am never going to apply again, never, I am done. And imagine, guess who is right now just looking for more opportunities to apply for? It is me. So you see, in that situation, if I was to compare how long I took to be sad about me getting a rejection, let's say it was those 2 months, versus let's say me getting into another program that I wanted to, I was maybe happy for 2 days, and then after that life moved on. And you see, if I'm comparing the length, I would be like, oh, I probably entertained the sad feelings more. But you see, what that can do to someone is make you think that because you did that, you have created a lot of room for for you to be in that space, or just more things like that to come to you. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think in that moment, as long as you're honest, it helps you. I feel like in a way it equips you to, in a way, maybe respond differently the next time it happens, or just, I guess, in a way, predict potentially, this is what, I feel like when this situation happens. And because this is how I felt like, this would have been something I'd have appreciated hearing, and maybe I can put in some of the structures and measures that can make it possible for me to remember that, oh, maybe I should affirm myself, because maybe during that time I was feeling too down and could not affirm myself. And maybe if I was affirmed, I would have felt better and not associated like myself as a failure because I did not get into a certain program or opportunity. So I think those are just my thoughts on that. It's just sometimes some things take longer, and because of the newness of things, we just take longer to, I guess, wrap our heads around things. And it's not that we are giving power to those things and giving them a hold in our lives forever. And then something else, because I know sometimes there's no timeline to feeling certain emotions and all these things. I like, something I read about how we should always treat certain things as guests. They're here for a while, but they are going to go at some point. So, sometimes you have a guest that stays a short time, sometimes it's a guest that stays longer. Sometimes someone just day visits, comes for lunch, seriously, they're going. Sometimes there's someone comes and probably has to stay with you for maybe weeks, but then they also go. And I think that is something to just always be mindful of, even as we, I guess, navigate life. And then also on the point of now, what we entertain, we give life. I think it doesn't necessarily, it's not the literal form of, oh, just because I'm allowing myself to be sad, I'm giving power over sadness like in my life, like just come take a hold of me or whatever. I think it just means it's a very internal thing that, whatever we believe of ourselves, because you can be sad about something not working out, but in your head you still believe that something good will happen to me in my life at some point, and I will perhaps be able to get all these things I've always wanted to get for myself. If that's an aspiration for you, if your aspiration is to always travel, it's like, yeah, this year maybe I wasn't able to save enough to travel, but I know I'm still going to mark these destinations off my bucket list and something of the sort. So for me, that's how I interpret like the whole concept of what am I entertaining, but especially about myself, not in terms of allowing myself to feel and go through the emotions. It's more of, after I've felt and gone through these emotions, have I let that in a way, I guess, define who I am or my abilities in whatever way? And if I have, well and good. If it was good, if it was, I didn't get into this and I'm like, I am, for certain a failure, I think that's when it becomes something that could just cloud even just your whole perception about yourself and just about the things that you can do and achieve. And so I literally believe that you can still honor your feelings and emotions and still be able to entertain good thoughts about yourself and still have a good perception, image, belief, or whatever, that things will still work out in the end. And I feel like I see that all the time with myself, and I think even sometimes my friends, it's like, yeah, we are sad this didn't work out, whatever, but we are able to remember that there is so much more that is coming for us that is probably even better than this, and we are going to work towards getting that. And that's what we keep entertaining. And even if sometimes it takes a bit of a longer time to move from feeling sad to remembering that all is not lost, it's still very okay. And as to whether there is a balance, perhaps not, perhaps there doesn't need to be a balance. I think for me that's something that as time progresses, I feel like I've become more averse towards the whole concept of balance, because for me, I think for a long time a lot of people associated just balance with looking like a 50-50 equal part situation. And I think for now I just feel like both can exist in whatever percentages. Sometimes one can be higher, sometimes one can be lower, and it's okay. I think it's okay, honestly. I think that's all I wanted to share in relation to this topic. You can let me know what you think about what I've shared, or honoring your feelings, and also just, I guess, pretty much entertaining these good thoughts will happen to you, thoughts about yourself. And just, you can tell me if you also have a different understanding of what it means to, when we say like whatever you entertain, you're giving life to, and all that. You can share your perspectives with me, and I think I'll be happy to engage with you in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. And honestly, you don't want to miss episode 6 of the Lessons I Must Learn series. I think it's going to be such an interesting video to watch, honestly. Though I feel like I'm a bit like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be this vulnerable, but I do want to share it. So see you next week for episode 6 of the Lessons I Must Learn series.